Um, Talk a little bit about, if I come in and I make a report and that's where I've gotten to in my conclusion, like, okay, I want to go and talk to Wayne. I want to tell him about what happened. You mentioned earlier that survivors have some control over that. So what if I come in and talk to you and then like a week later, I'm like, oh, because what's happened, right?
Yeah.
Is now that I've talked to you and maybe now you've gone and talked to some of my witnesses, maybe you've had a chance to talk to the suspect and now my life is blowing up.
Right.
What control do I have over the report or whether or not you submit it to the district attorney's office?
Yeah, you still retain control of it up to a certain point. Like if it's an egregious case and I guess the advocate could help us through that, but you can pause a report. Like you come to me today and you file this report, I take down all the information, and a week later you call me or you meet with me and you're like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. Because I work at on college campus, thankfully, my first response would be, I'd like to meet with our Title IX officer, and I think this would be a really good case for Title IX. Talk to them about that process, which is markedly different than criminal justice system. So you can absolutely pump the brakes or put pause. We're still going to take the report. We're still going to keep it on file, but we won't submit it if you don't want us to.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
And then I could change my mind, right?
Sure can.
Maybe a month later, I'm like, you know
Absolutely.
what? Now I'm prepared.
Yeah.
So I can come back. I can come back to you and say, hey, I know we met last month, but now I'm in a different place.
Absolutely.
Which I think is really helpful. Does it ever cost money to file a police report?
Does not. And in my community, you often don't even have to come to the police department. I can come to your dorm room, or I can meet you outside or off campus, or with. That's the other thing I see a lot of is a survivor will bring support, whatever their support structure is in their life. It's often other friends. I've had interviews where, there'd be 6 people in my office, all to support, and that's awesome that they came with you. I typically won't interview the survivor with their friends present. It just doesn't work well. They could also be called as witnesses and be, if the case goes to court a year from now, whatever, the defense attorney could end up cross-examining their friends, and it just is a bad scene. So typically the support system, whoever comes, will just wait outside while the survivor and I have our interview with the advocate, and that seems to work well.
Yeah, and I think that that's another place, right, where when you explain, here's why.
Yeah.
Like, it's awesome that you have all these people here supporting you, but we want you to be making a well-informed decision, right, about that. And so this person is protected and they can be in the room with you. But also, I think sometimes initially you think you want to have those people there in the room, but then when you get into the interview, you're kind of grateful that actually I'm kind of glad not all of those people are in the room.
Yeah, I think 100%
because
of the time.
nature of the things that you have to talk about.
Correct. And
Yeah.
it's just a much more free-flowing conversation, a more honest conversation,
Sure.
regardless of whatever they think beforehand. We have a better conversation
Yeah, right.
without an audience.
Sure,
like
right?
us today.
Yeah, because as someone who's experienced a sexual assault, right, you already have the voice inside your head telling you all the reasons why what happened to you, all the reasons why it's hard to talk about, and you're going to be judging yourself on all of your decisions.
Yeah.
And, you're already doing that, and so having people around you
Right.
Can sort of.
They mean well.
Yeah.
I often find friends
Yeah.
are really good at supporting, but not
Sometimes
so great
they say
at
things that they think is supportive,
some of the other
and they're not so
things, yeah.
much.
So-
And I think that's another place where advocates can really be beneficial for survivors, right? Oftentimes, as an advocate, one of the things that you're doing is working with the people who are supporting the survivor
Right.
to help them with some language
Yeah.
around what's helpful and what's not. And I think that can be another sort of critical
Yeah.
role
Great
that
coach. Yeah.
advocates play.